is the rhythm of change. This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman.
After I get your upside down cake, I'm just going to social distance myself from my plate.
See,
I know. So I also make a
So I
mean
want
rum
you guys to know, I just turned the mic is live. We're live. And I just want to get that. That's okay. People understand that we have some interesting conversations going on before the show starts. And today we were talking about food. I think every day we're talking about food.
Yeah.
Every day we're talking about food. But welcome everybody to the to another episode of the Eric Dawson Show. As you can see, I am joined on Tuesday again with Deidre Viney. She is the owner, operator, extraordinaire of. You like that? Look,
I think he's trying to get another pineapple cake.
Hey, listen, hey Vincent, stay out of my business. Of Express Pros of Jersey City, which is a now is it a job placement or recruiting?
We call it a staffing service.
Staffing service.
Full service staffing company. Helping people find jobs, helping companies find people.
There we go. So this is her, guys. This is the day I keep saying. I mean, I want you to watch every day, but certainly today, Tuesdays, when we look at the job market, when we look at the number of people on unemployment right now, right? We look at it all. Here's a resource for you guys. So hit the share button. Bring people in who you believe might gain some useful information to put them back in the job market. Although I'll say I was reading an article where there's some people who don't want to go back because they're making more now in unemployment than they've ever made.
Well, we talked about that last week, Eric, I think, or I talked with someone, and one of the things that I said and I shared with them, as a matter of fact, one of my clients called me because a worker didn't want to go back to work because she was making more on unemployment than her regular job. And me and him were trying to come up with some strategies because he needed her to work. And what I had said to him and to her, because I called her afterwards, matter of fact, I need to touch base with both of them later today, was that we've been here before. We've been down this road where folks were making more on unemployment, or they were just collecting unemployment and happy until unemployment ran out. And so what I think folks don't realize is that unemployment is like a savings account. So when that savings account is used up, and yes, there are stimulus money as well that have an expiration date. But when that savings account is used up, that's it. So these same individuals that we used to call for jobs, they would say to us, "No, we don't want that job because I'm on unemployment." So I just want your listeners to understand that when it's gone, it's gone. And if there's a company that's out there that's willing to hire you, even on a temp basis, it will affect your unemployment partially because you're going to have money coming in, and they can supplement the difference. But you're not going to lose it altogether. That savings account is going to sit there and grow. So I just don't want folks to get super comfortable with unemployment and not look for a job, because you need to be looking for a job as well.
I mean, I just find it fascinating. And I don't know what percentage of people, so it's interesting to know that you have a client who is actually going through that with employees. Well, here's what I'll say. Maybe the belief is, and I think that it's completely off base, but maybe the belief is, there's no way if I go back to work right now, I'm going to be able to catch up on some of the things that I might be able to catch up on with this unemployment check. So in some cases, some people might be making 30% more than they were making on their job before they got their unemployment check. So with that 30% extra, maybe they're rolling the dice, Deidre, and saying, you know what, I'm going to take this 30%, be able to pay down some things, and I'm hoping to catch the job market, to get back in to work before things close in on me, and I will have been able to accomplish paying down a bill or two.
And I think that was the point that this particular employee was making too. Once I had a conversation with her, that was exactly what she said. And so that's a valid point. But I just don't want folks to lose sight of the fact that they still need to be out there. As I mentioned, I think when I first started the series, looking for a job is a job. And you may not get that opportunity right immediately, but you need to have that wheels turning so that you have resumes out there, you have applications out there. You can't wait until unemployment runs out. And I'm telling you, 08, 09, I saw this time and time again. And folks would turn us down on jobs, and as soon as unemployment ran out, our phones were busy. And it's not just me saying this. Express is a franchise. We have over 800 offices throughout the United States. We talk as owners in New Jersey every single Monday, and a lot of them are sharing similar stories. So I just don't want people to get comfortable and then say, okay, Joe, August 1st, money's going. Let me start looking.
The more competitive the market becomes, right? So if you're looking for a job in a market where the unemployment rate is 14%, even though that's really bad, I mean, it's horrible, right? I mean, we're approaching Great Depression numbers in terms of that percentage, but 16% is worse than 14.7%, which means you've got more people to compete with. So to get in now, to get your name and your resume in front of people now, to build those relationships earlier than that other 2% who might be entering into the job search market in the next week or two or whatever it is, would be advantageous for you. But I guess, like I said, I mean, people are rolling the dice. One report I read, literally, this person said, I've never made this much money. Well, firstly, they're not making it; they're just getting it, right? But they're saying,
remember, it's like the stimulus is really getting it, right? I get that. But the savings account of your unemployment insurance,
you're drawing down on that
it goes away. It's going away. On zero until you put more money into the fund. And the way you put more money into the fund is by working.
And you know what? Because I was on unemployment before, and it actually shows you. It says this is how much you have, and every time you get a check, it deducts and says this is what you have now. And it keeps going down, like you said, and if you stay on it all the way to the end, at some point it will reach a zero balance and you will get no more checks.
So back to unemployment, Eric, you and I all know inner city numbers are very different for unemployment. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, I actually don't know that number, but I'll have it by next week. I'm curious what the inner city, Newark, Jersey City, Camden, what are those cities or counties unemployment number if the nation is 15%? I can guarantee you it's higher.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's. I mean, where would you put it, Vincent? Given, looking at history in terms of, when we look at the, that national number, and then we say, well, okay, when we drill down and look at, black folks and brown folks, I mean, is it usually about 10-15% higher? Oh, I don't know where Vincent is. But we'll get him back. So, I would say that it's probably somewhere around there. Look, I always say, and I'm not the first to say it, but I repeat it as often as I can, when America has a cold, black folks have pneumonia. And so if you're looking... I don't know what that was. Was that you? Was that a
flush of the toilet?
Is that Vincent?
Eric, if that was a flush, we're going to clear the whole show.
Hey, listen. Okay. Anyway, maybe that was a sound effect to just kind of explain. I mean, this is how I'll play it anyway. It's a sound effect to explain where your future's going if you continue to draw down on your unemployment and it gets to zero. It'll be flushed down the toilet. So,
and also too, we talked last week about a bunch of things last week for your interview. I thought that was an awesome segment. But one of the things that I want to mention to the listening audience is that we have all various, skill sets, right? And so if you're at a certain skill set, highly compensated executive, and now you find yourself out of work. And I saw this 08, 09, and they were really adamant about their pay, and this is what I want, and I'm not willing to bend. I just encourage that population to also dig deep and consider some consulting work, even short term, a month or 2 months here or there. Help out some small businesses, help out some nonprofits. You may not make, your 100%. You can collect unemployment with the difference, right? However that works out. But I just encourage them, because there was also a huge study back in the financial crisis when the long-term unemployed had a really challenging time getting back to work.
Yeah. You know what I found, Deirdre, when I was looking for a gig, that when we had these moments, it just kind of, everything from the top pushes down, right? So for a long time, I was in my comfortable position, on the ladder, making the money that I was making with the skill set that I had. But then when the job market shifted and folks were being laid off, you had people who were earning, maybe 30%, 40% more than I was earning, who had more expansive resumes than I did. Their skill set was beyond mine. They were now competing for my job.
Yep.
Right? Because where they were, there were people who had been above them, and then these companies feel like, it's bargain time, right? What I mean?
Absolutely.
They get, it's like, I may get a $500,000 CEO for $300,000 now. And that, and then the one who's trying to hold out for $500,000, well, you might have $1 million CEO who's going to take that $500,000 gig. So those companies are playing the number game as well. And so you have to understand the climate that you're in, and you got to be willing to roll with the punches. And like you said, you can cobble together some good coin doing some consulting work. You got
Absolutely.
a lot of businesses out there, like right now. There are a lot of businesses, and my phone's been ringing a little bit, and people have been calling me. Their budgets are tight, so we're trying to work some stuff out. But these are small businesses, medium-sized businesses, where they've poured all of their life savings into this business that they had, and now COVID-19 is upon us, and they're about to go bankrupt. And they're saying, wait a minute, how can I salvage this? And now here's some really interesting things that are happening with me. They don't have the money, right? Because they never planned for this. They don't have a marketing or advertising or consulting budget to dig into. So one of the things that I'm looking at, where possible, is creating some sort of equity partnership, right? Where I now look and say, I'm going to be creative. If you need my services, here are what my services are worth. You can't pay them. So maybe we can create some limited partnership, right? That equals this amount. And then once this amount is recovered, plus, whatever the convenience fee is for you not giving me cash and me, kind of holding the note. Once that's all resolved, then I'm out. But if I can salvage this business, then I stand to do very, very well. And now I'm banking on me, right? I'm betting on my skill set to be able to get some of that stuff done. But there are creative ways to take advantage of the market for some people.
I agree. And I think in your world, too, it sounds like you are always comfortable with consulting. Many people are not. And they might think, oh, that's just, shortening myself and whatnot. And I just don't want them to think of it that way. Because if unemployment and this continues to go on, and even when the world opens back up, businesses are just not going to be like a light switch. Everything just starts to get busy again. It may be a ramp-up period of time. And these businesses all have to watch their cash flow. And they, to your point, think of creative ways. Maybe it's, I pay you every other week, or maybe I do this 1 month job and I get a percentage of the revenue I bring in, or whatever it is. I just don't want, it's a slippery slope. as it relates to unemployment and a highly compensated or even mid-compensated folks that want to just sit home and wait for that opportunity, and then also get frustrated applying for all these jobs until eventually they give up, and then they wind up taking whatever, and that whatever has absolutely nothing to do with their background.
So, Deidre, in the space
or
that
their
you're
skill
in,
set. The other thing about contracting or consulting is that it leaves an opportunity for you. Once you work for them, you prove to be invaluable. So it gets them to change their mind and to make some changes to compensate you on a full-time basis.
Well, that could happen too, right? You could flip a a consulting contract into a full-time assignment if they see the value in you, right?
Or like they say, it's always better to find a job when you have a job.
Yeah.
You don't show levels of frustration or desperation. You show a super confidence because, even if it's a consulting position, and it's okay to go to on an interview and they say, oh, I see you're working now. Oh, that's a consulting position. I'm keeping myself busy. I'm using the skill set I have until I'm afforded that opportunity that I'm looking for. And I think that's an ample answer. I hate hearing, this is why I just really am going to be on my soapbox on this, is that I hate hearing, oh, no, I just sat home and I looked for a job and that's what I did for 3 years. That's not a good answer.
So let me ask you a question, Deidre. Where you are right now, because I'm sure, you're working with these other affiliates, and you guys are talking all the time. You're looking at the, at the market. You're looking at the country, and like you said, it's not going to be a light switch going on. It's going to be a slow ramp. In that slow ramp, where do you see the greatest opportunities for employment? In what markets?
So similar, I think, with what's busy now, we talked about that too. What's busy now are manufacturing, distribution centers, and it's particularly in Jersey City and Newark, there's a lot of distribution centers because we feed the world, for clothing or all kinds of products. And once you and I can all go back to the stores and go shopping, that supply chain will start churning again. And those businesses, again, it won't be a light switch. It'll be a trickle, slow, faucet. They will start to get busy. And as they get busy, they're going to start bringing on folks to hire. And sometimes they may, call a staffing firm like me because they can't meet with demand that quickly. They have an order that has to be out on Monday and they can't hire, 50 people that quickly. So that's where we kind of supplement some of those opportunities. But there's going to be when restaurants start to get busy again, and you and I are all going to be able to go out and sit at a cafe. I'm so excited to be able to do that. That supply chain that's been impacted, think of all those raw materials, all those kind of areas, they're now going to be having orders in. And so all those businesses will start to get busy again. So as you think about that, I was on the phone with a friend yesterday because her son was looking for a job opportunity. He's a recent college grad, and she was kind of trying to get some advice from me in terms of what can he be looking at. And I told him, look at who's advertising on television. If they're spending $1 million, those commercials on TV are not cheap.
Right.
If they're spending money to advertise to you and I, they're busy. They are busy. I mean, maybe they might have had contracts that I don't know how that whole media thing works from a contract perspective, but I'm imagining if they're putting and spending time on TV to advertise to you and I, or even your local TV station, everything is a micro of whatever the macro is. Those businesses are busy, and those are businesses they need to consider.
And this is also a great time, I always talk about the fact that we're not as intellectually curious as we should be. But this is the time, guys, where along with, watching the commercials or paying attention to the commercials in between, some of the binge watching you may be doing on television, to pick up a newspaper or to turn to the news channel and to listen to what they're talking about in terms of the job reports and all that. All of those things are those are places where you can get information to understand exactly how the economy is going to open up, who's being impacted the most, where it's going to open up first, where the opportunities exist. But if you're sitting on your hands and you're just waiting for somebody to give you that information and you're not being proactive to go out and seek it so that you can position yourself for those opportunities, then you're going to be at a loss.
True. And looking at the Reuters report job market. The up and coming and continue to be up and coming job is logistics. And the largest one in that are truck drivers. You can incorporate yourself, be an entrepreneur, and you can make an average of $200,000 a year by being self-employed.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Vincent. Thank you for bringing that up. Logistics, similar to what I call distribution centers, same exact thing to me.
Yeah.
Those individuals, those companies, once this supply chain starts to work in product, you'll know when things start to really, kick off when you go down to the Port of Newark. And someone sent me a picture. This is right when COVID happened. And she was a truck driver. To your point about truck drivers, they make great money. She was a truck driver. She goes to the port. It was a she, which I love that. She went to the port to pick up some containers from overseas. And she videotaped a little bit, and it was empty. This is right when coronavirus happened. It was empty. That told you a lot. That told you that product, we have an international port, particularly in the Port of Newark. Products coming from lots of different countries. And she said it was empty. It was something like she had never seen before. But you go back over to the port now, and it's starting to hub up. And I have a couple companies that I work with that are trucking companies, and they too were telling me all around the same thing. And that's why I was like, oh, it's about to really happen. But those would be the first ones to pick up, because they got to get that product off of that ocean. It can't just sit there at the Port of Newark forever. Someone's got to logistically pick it up with a tractor trailer and get it to that right facility. And a lot of them are in Jersey City, Newark, some are in PA, drivable within a couple hour distance of that Port of Newark. So those are great opportunities for folks to consider, men and women. Get your CDL license. This is an opportunity to get that right now.
Listen, guys.
Yes, because the best way to find a job is to be prepared for it. Getting your CDL license, being incorporated or self-employed, makes a huge opportunity for yourself, so that while you have this disposable time, you use it wisely.
You know what? There's a phrase, and my nephew uses it. I don't know where it came from, but I love it. And the phrase is never not working. Never not working. And I think that we need to, in this time, that is the mindset that we have to have, right? So even if you're not employed, you're never not working. Never not working on trying to find employment. Never not working on bettering yourself. Never not working on getting key information to position yourself, right? So you're in perpetual motion. My biggest fear during this time, Deidre, is that people will develop really, really bad habits. That they'll take this time and they'll start waking up late, start watching too much more television than they need to be watching, nonsensical television, and they will allow their brains to begin to atrophy. And those habits, once you form them, are difficult to break, because now you got to get back into, a work mentality, right? So, get in shape mentally, stay in shape physically, and emotionally. And as Vincent said, be prepared for the opportunity.
And I think I love that. I wrote that down, never not working, because that is a perfect segue into what I wanted to discuss today, which was on networking and how you build your network. And us as individuals should always be building our network. I just met Eric a month ago. Been listening to his show for a while through Diane, because she always tags me on Facebook, and if I have an opportunity, I'll log in. But now we have a network. We know each other. And just today, we found out we have a mutual person that we know. Yep. So I'm just saying all that one of the things that I want to discuss from my 10 tips that I've done is building your network. And so your network can start in what I'm going to call your nucleus. That is family, right? That's numero uno. Family and friends are your nucleus. Those are individuals you're going to go to, even if you're not looking for a job. You should always be networking. And you say to your family and friends, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And be really specific and intentional. This is what I am looking for. do you know anybody in this particular industry, at this particular job category, and can you introduce me to them? Maybe I can have a conversation over the phone or even a Zoom or whatever kind of medium you use to talk to someone, so that they can get to know you a little bit better, and then they help you build your network, particularly when you're out of work. You're going to need to let everybody know you're looking for a job. You cannot keep it a secret. Now we have social media, and you can use social media to sit there, to your point, Erica, you can sit there and chitty-chatty on social media all day and look at cute pictures on Instagram, or you can use social media in an intentional way and say, oh my goodness, my friend works at this particular company. I would love to work there. Let me reach out to her and see if they have any openings. Or whatever that is, whatever that looks like to you. Don't get idle with your social media. Yes, it has a lot of great fun things. I look at all kinds of silly videos, and I love to look at pictures on Instagram. But it also can be a powerful tool for you to build your network. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I talked a lot about LinkedIn last time too. LinkedIn, people you don't even know you have the ability to get in touch with in a very easy and efficient way through social media. Because
I want to just add to what you're saying. When we're talking about networking, I think it's important, guys, to put stuff in two categories. There may be more, but I'm going to suggest two categories: assets and liabilities. Right? So as you start to work on building a network, right, create a list of a column of assets and liabilities. And then when you go through whether your contacts on your phone or your relationships, in terms of what your goals are, which is what Deirdre just talked about, once you identify what you're looking for, what your goals are, then identify who's an asset and who's a liability, right? Because those people who are liabilities, they're not going to help you move closer toward that goal. So you want to go into your asset category, and then you want to spend more time over there with those people, because those people are going to help you get closer to you. See, the liability section or the liability column are the people who call you while you're trying to focus on work and say, hey, did you check out the latest blah, blah, blah series on whatever? Oh, let me send you this link to this funny video, and it distracts you from what your goals are. What you want to do is you want to have these people in the asset category who understand what your goal is, and they're feeding you information that is moving you closer towards your goal. We do a poor job of identifying those people because it's comfortable sometimes. It's like when you're a kid, candy and vegetables, right? You'd rather eat the candy even though it's not as nutritious as the vegetables are. So I'm saying that in the liability column, it may be fun, but it's not nutritious, right? In terms of helping you achieve what you have established to be your goal.
True. That's the most important thing about networking, because networking, what it truly does is increases your level of contact, moving up into the next level from a low-income payer to a moderate to high-income payer, using your skill sets and finding people who have that contact to the right person to get you in front of them.
Absolutely. And that's a really valid point too, in terms of identifying your assets and liabilities. I never thought about it that way, Eric. So thank you for that. But I think that as you utilize tools with utilizing social media, one of the great tips that I like to give is how you can use LinkedIn more effectively. So let's say you go onto LinkedIn and you've cleaned it up because you've taken all those tutorials and you've learned how to make it look effective, and you've made it mirror your resume, and you've got all those great buzzwords in there. So you've done all that. You've asked for endorsements by prior employers. And now you want to start reaching out to people that you may not know. You went to your nucleus, family and friends. They don't know anyone that works at these particular companies you want to work at. Now you can simply do a simple search on LinkedIn, a company, and you can find out who actually works there. And you can send them an email directly through LinkedIn. You don't even know this person from Adam. Yeah. However, I will assure you, in the kindness of strangers, if you do enough of them, just like I'm in sales to a certain extent, right? I'm constantly talking about my business and what I do in the companies I work with. You are in effect consider yourself in the sales role. In a sales role, it's a numbers game. So let's say you write a very crafted, name is blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for this kind of position. This is my skill set. Take a look at my wonderful LinkedIn profile. You have to have all those things in place. Can you help me identify if you are not the person that's handling the hire, and can you point me in the right direction? Again, I say it's a numbers game, because if you do that to 2 people, you might get 0 responses. Right. You do it to 20, you might get 1 response. You do it to 50, you might get 2 responses. People are busy. A lot of times LinkedIn goes to their personal email address. And I told you earlier, a couple weeks ago, Eric, I have 165,000 emails unread in my Yahoo account. Because it says I get so much junk mail. So if they're anything like me, they may not even see your email. That's why you're going to do a lot. And you're going to be real strategic, and you're going to send the same exact message. They don't need to know you send the same exact message unless you tell them. But that's a great way to identify companies that you want to work for, roles you're looking for, and you may not even see the role up on one of those boards. You may just want to ask them, because a lot of times they look internal first for positions before they get to the boards, before they call staffing service like myself. And so why not put yourself before they even consider putting it out there to the rest of the world?
So here's to your point. It says that, and I just pulled something up. It says that what Deirdre is referring to is really like almost like cold calls or cold leads, right? First contacts, first touches. We got a bunch of different names in the sales and marketing space. But you have roughly a 2% success rate. Now, that 2% is relative to the total number, right? The volume, which is what Deirdre's talking about. So if you say, well, I'm going to send out to 10 people. And when I say a 2% success rate, it doesn't mean that it's a go. It simply means that 2% may actually open up and read what you say. They may not respond, because now the response, right? So the first touch, 2% may get you just them reading it, right? Then out of that 2%, 2% might actually respond. So if you look at that and you say, well, I'm going to send 10 out. Well, what's 2% of 10? And now if that 2% simply read it and did nothing else, then what's 2% of that? So that's why you get nothing. But now as you increase your workload, the volume of people, that 2% becomes more meaningful in terms of the people who read it and then the people who respond to it. But Deirdre started by saying a well-crafted note. See, garbage in, garbage out. So if you send garbage, then I'm giving you the 2% number if all is well. If you took the time and you crafted this thing and what you were sending out was head and shoulders above what everybody else was sending out, so it cut through the noise, then best case scenario, you're getting about 2%. If you decided that in between commercials of your favorite sitcom that you were going to, but this is what happens though, right? We got to be honest that folks don't give the necessary attention to these things. So you figure you're going to do this thing part-time, if that, right? You're in the middle of watching something, or you pause your favorite song and you're going to try to put this thing together real quick and send it out because you don't want to interrupt what's really important in your life, which is the television show. And so now you're going to take and part-time put this thing together, and you expect somebody to give it their full-time attention. Why? If you didn't give your own life, your own career, your own future, your full-time attention, why would you expect any more from somebody else? And that's why I say garbage in, garbage out.
And that's why I go back to those 2 to 3 hours a day and setting goals for yourself as it relates to what's going to happen in those 2 to 3 hours a day, because it's so easy to get sidetracked with being comfortable waking up late, watching TV. It's so easy to just fall into a rut. But if you tell yourself, okay, every day, 2 to 3 hours, I'm a big whiteboard person. I'm a visual person. I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual person. So I love to put up whiteboards with my goals on it. Yeah. And I look at those whiteboards every single day because I want to know where am I as it relates to my goal and what do I need to do. I'm also a check the box kind of, make a to-do list every single day person too. Yeah. So if you're making those goals and you're going to say, okay, today, like I gave the example about even looking for a job. Today, I'm going to send out, and give a number to it. I'm going to send out 20 resumes. You can't do 100. That's not realistic. Make it a realistic number, right? When they say SMART goals, it has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Those are really key SMART goals. So when you make a SMART goal, you're going to say, let's say the number is 20. I'm going to send out 20 resumes today, put it on the board, and you're going to take the time. Remember, you've done all the due diligence. So you've done all the, where am I going to apply? What kind of, like, my resume's done. And then with that number can also be, I'm going to send out, now we can make this number big, like to your point, Eric, about the 2%. I'm going to send out 50 email messages on LinkedIn today because I've crafted my wonderful note. My resume is really great on LinkedIn. All I got to do is copy paste 50 times. That might take me 20 minutes to do that. The research of who those 50 are might be the longer part of it. So maybe that takes you an hour that day. But it has to be intentional. It has to be, you have to take your time, and you cannot have those distractions. And you need to have those assets. Those individuals that are sending you, oh, did you look at this particular company? Oh, have you considered this? Or sending you links to improve your LinkedIn profile. Those are assets that I love that, the asset liability column. Because that's really, really critical to help you advance yourself career-wise.
Right. So
True.
so
But
I,
you have to.
go ahead. I don't have my percentage calendar up. I don't have my percentage calendar up. But let's assume we did the 50. At 2%, that's what, like one response, Vincent? Is that correct?
Close.
Right. So I want you to understand what we're talking about. So you do tremendous amount of work, and you should. But we have to manage expectations, right? So if we're going on this 2% number, and you set a goal for today of doing 50 resumes, sending out 50 resumes, right? And we're operating on a 2% response rate, like first touch response rate. That means realistically one of your recipients is going to read it, not respond. So now out of that one, what's 2% of one? Right.
And so I'm gonna go back for a second because
0.0001.
larger point, and we talking numbers and dollars and cents numbers, right?
Right.
The larger percentage is that nucleus. Because if I
I'm sorry, you're talking about, I didn't know that you were talking about the nucleus. I thought you were talking about
No, I know we're not. I know that we're not, that's not the nucleus. But getting back to the nucleus, because I'm going to spend my time and effort on the nucleus first before I'm just giving that as a tip. You can do that in addition to this. But the nucleus, family and friends, my mother, my father, cousins, aunts, uncles, people that are definitely working are really good tips for you. And now you're going to stay on their case to help you, obviously in a really good manner. They love you and care for you. And you're going to be intentional with them. You're going to have that resume done. You're going to tell them what you're looking for. How can you help me? And then ask them to give you a follow-up. Now, here's the key, Eric. You need to make sure you follow up. I can't tell you times I've had individuals where I say, oh, call X, Y, and Z. I'm pretty sure they're looking for somebody or this particular thing that can help you out. And then a couple weeks later, I forget about it. And I happen to talk to that particular friend, and they say, oh, no, they never called me. Okay, so please don't do that. Because now you've damaged the relationship between this person who you don't know how well that person knew your friend or family member.
Can we stay on that for a second? Oh, my God. Can we stay? Look, and this is why I say liability asset column, right? Because you're always building assets and you're eliminating liability. Because all you have is your brand, right? That's all you have. When you go into the marketplace of jobs, the marketplace of whatever it is, all you have in the end is your brand. And the people you allow around you will either build up your brand or destroy your brand. And you have to be very, very careful about that. And so to that end, I got to say this. So Deirdre's 100% correct. We've known each other for just a few weeks. Diane, based on knowing me, based on knowing Deirdre, made that connection, right? I met Diane through the show and through social media because I was attracted to the fact that as a council person, she took the initiative and was doing Facebook Lives of the council meetings in Hillside. And I said, oh my gosh, I've been advocating for, them to pass legislation all over New Jersey to make it mandatory that they do that. Right? But she took it upon herself to do it. So I was watching her meetings and then I said, let me reach out to this young lady. And I did. And that's how Diane and I forged a relationship. Now, from Deirdre's relationship, our relationship, Deirdre and I are talking and she said, Eric, just in, general conversation, what's going on? What are you doing? Goals, right? So I started laying some of the things out to her. She said, you know what? You need an intern. And you guys have heard me talk about needing an intern, right? For 3 years, you all have heard me. Deirdre heard me say this, and Deirdre went into action. And she asked me to provide her with a job description. I didn't at first, right? Right? Why? Because I need an intern. So I'm overworked. And she stayed on me. She said, hey, you got to get that to me, right? And so I'm looking, I'm going, wow, you know what? Deirdre's in my asset column. Why? Because she's pushing me toward the goals that I've laid out for her. So finally, I got her the job description. Lo and behold, what did I get? I got an email from a gentleman who said, hey, look, I got that job description. I'm interested in interning. Again, I didn't respond to him. Why? Because I'm busy. I need an intern, right? So Diane says to me, I want you to understand what I'm talking about in terms of assets, guys. So Diane says to me, hey, Eric, did you call him? Did you reach out to him? Right? So I said, no, I got to reach out to him. And I still didn't. But you know what happened? That young man sent me a follow-up email. And he said, hey, I sent you an email. I haven't heard back from you. My eyes opened up and I said, oh my goodness. So
I like that. I like that gentleman already.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I said. I should see. So when you talk about, somebody who is a self-starter, somebody who's I saw that, right? Not in a resume, but in his actions. So then I called him, right? So now when we talk about brand, I'm saying to myself, wow, Deirdre sent me a quality person, right? So now he's an asset to her because he's building her brand, right? She's an asset to me because she's helping me toward my goals. Do you understand what I'm talking about in terms of networking? So now I got this young man on the phone and I said to him, I need help. And I was just really honest with him. I said, part of the reason I didn't get back to you is because I need an intern. I gave him some tasks. He called me back. Check boxes, Deirdre? He checked all of the boxes of the things that I asked him to do. Right? So then I said to him, you know what your number one goal is? The number one thing I need you to do? I need you to stay on me. I said, that's it. I said, if you stay on me to get you to things, I said, and don't feel like you're being a pain in the ass. I said, that's what I need. I said, but you and I are going to go really, really far. And it was amazing. I'm telling you. So now I feel like my flower, right? My business, the things that I'm working on, is growing now. Why? Because it's being fed by my network. So all of the other people, and I'm not mentioning names, but there are a lot of people, Deirdre, that I've shared the same things with that I share with you, right? And there was no nourishment from them. But they'll call me and they want to talk endlessly on the phone. Right? But they know what my goal is and they know my weakness to stay on the phone. Where they should be pushing me and saying, hey, listen, you need to get off. Like Diane said, did you call him? I was talking about some BS and she goes, did you call him? That's what we, but I love it. That's what you need. Right. That's exactly what you need. And it's hard, right? Because you want to be in that comfortable place, right? Of ice cream and fuzzy socks and we're just going to chill together. You want to be there. You need the person that tells you, get up. Yep. Get to work. And I found that in some new people, and I'm so grateful. I'm really glad that you brought that up because I was going to talk to you about that and tell you, what an amazing young man Rich is, and and I'm looking to do great things with him. But guys, it is an example, and we try to give real examples of things that are happening, and that and hopefully you'll pick up on them and you'll apply them to your life.
And I think back to your point about follow-up, that's a really, and I didn't even coach Richard, but he apparently has got good tips, and his parents, and so I love that, because that, to the point of even when someone gives you a referral and you think, oh my goodness, they didn't even follow up with me. In a very professional way, there is a way to follow up. You don't want to burn bridges. And I will say that 1,000 times. I've had really horrible email follow-ups because someone thought they should have been hired by me and they weren't. And they then in turn wanted to be nasty to me. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because you don't know who I know, and now I will forever remember you. So, and it's not going to be in a positive way. So you want to be able to follow up in a respectful manner, recognizing that folks are busy, or you might not have what they need right then and there. And it's nothing against you. It's just that you just don't have it, and they don't know how to tell you. Everyone communicates differently. Maybe some people are really chitty chatty like Eric and myself, and some people might be a little bit more quiet and reserved and just completely delete your message and not even respond to you. And I'm not saying one way is wrong or right. It's just that everybody communicates differently, and you got to recognize where people are. And so if someone gives you a referral, obviously follow up and follow up again. Like for Richard, I gave Richard the referral, and he followed up, and then he followed up again. And so it's like to Eric's point too, you don't recognize all the things that people are doing. Sometimes they're wearing 25 hats. Yeah. And yes, you're going to say the reason you need to hire me is because I can take one of those, 5 of those hats off.
That's right.
But that's not the point. The person can't see that. They're just still trying to wear 25 hats. Yeah. So you just have to be sensitive, and there's nothing wrong with a nice, I love email. We didn't even have email. I'm going to date myself. We didn't even have email back in the day, Eric, when I was doing all this job function. And now we have all of these wonderful tools that are making us hopefully more efficient in our day.
Yeah. And Mark Duncan in the thread, he says this. Mark
says, sense of entitlement. I'm sorry.
Mark says, I just want to read his comment because it's correct. He says, follow-up is key. Put it in your calendar immediately. Immediately say, I got to follow up. That's one of Deidre, when you say, your to-do list, your check boxes, that becomes one of the things because it's part of building your network. I'm sorry, go ahead, Vincent.
What really baffles me is this arrogant sense of entitlement of someone who is looking for help from you, does not get the help that they want in the particular time that they want, and then they respond with being nasty. You burn your bridges, even though, you have to come to the realization that even though we can't get you what you want right now, but you never know what can happen down the line. And if you're nasty to me, then hey, guess what I'm doing with your file?
Right.
Exactly.
But Deidre, so let's go back for a second. Remember we were talking about the degrees of separation, right?
Yep.
Right. So now, so keep these things in mind, guys. So we already talked about the percentages, right? So the percentages are not working in your favor. 2%, right? If you're talking outside your family circle, and assuming that you've done the proper weeding and feeding in terms of setting your list of assets and liabilities. So you've done all of that. You're working at a 2%, with a 2% return on investment of time and energy number. Then you start like lighting matches and burning bridges, right? Because you're sending out, like Vincent said, these nasty responses because you're in your own space and not understanding what may be going on over here. And you're not thinking that some of these people know some of the other people that you'll eventually be trying to reach out to.
Yep.
So now what's happening to that 2%?
Exactly. You're deteriorating it. And that's not a good thing. And so you always want to leave, a good impression is a lasting impression, as they say. And even if someone gives you a referral and it doesn't work out, I mean, I even had this situation too. Here's another example. Let's say someone gets you a job. Woohoo, got a job through a referral. You take the job, and guess what? You're not performing that well with the job for whatever reason. Maybe the job didn't fit you, or maybe you really don't have the proper skill set to do the job. Maybe it's bad management, whatever it is. They got to let you go. How are you going to go gracefully? You're going to go out kicking and screaming? Are you going to say, you know what? You're right. This is not an area that I'm really strong at right now. You know, because if you leave on good terms, you'll be surprised. People will help you. People will help you get another job because maybe you're not a good fit here. I'm going to call it, maybe this you don't fit right on this bus. But maybe they know someone else that can let you fit well on another bus. Yeah. But you cannot leave out of a job kicking and screaming.
You know, I
leave
did
on
that.
Good terms.
I did that. I did that back in was it 99 or 2000? I was a VP for a publishing company in Saddlebrook, Deidre. And I got to tell this story. I'm going to try to keep it brief, but it speaks to some of what you're saying, and it speaks to a lot of what Vincent said. So I had a chip on my shoulders, right? And I thought that they had done me wrong. And, you know, I was flying high in my career. And so the short of it is, when I got ready to leave, I literally, if you've ever seen those action movies where the hero is walking away from the warehouse and lights a match and throws it behind him and the whole thing just explodes, right? That's what I did. I wrote an email, and as I was exiting my office, I hit send on the email. And that email went to everybody. And the CEO of the company, the president of the company, the CFO, they all literally came running out of their offices. The CEO had his tails out of his pants and his suspenders were not pulled up, right? And he running down. They're trying to rescind the email because of the nature of what I had put in the email. Now, it felt really good when I did it. Like, you know what I mean? I got in the car and I was like, yeah, I stuck it to the man. I have no doubt at 57 years old now that had I not done that, there are countless people that I probably would be able to reach out to now if I needed them. I don't know if I need them or not, but if I needed them, that I could reach out to them. But I know I can't, right? And so you have to, you have to do a cost-benefit analysis, right? And you have to do it void emotion, because emotion clouds a lot of stuff, right? So when you're in a quiet place, my dad used to say to me, Eric, write the nastiest email you want to write, but don't hit send.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. Or
right?
Send it to yourself,
right?
And then reread it like the day later.
That's absolutely right.
Still want to send it?
That's absolutely right. So you write it because you got to get it out of you, right? Because it's like it's like phlegm. You want to cough it up. So go ahead and put it out there. And I would even caution you guys, don't even put it in an email. Put it in like a Word document. Because if you put in an email, you may accidentally hit send. Oh boy. So you don't want to do that. But get it out. If you want to vent, don't vent to your boss. Call a friend, not a coworker, a friend, right? And then get it all out. And now when we talk about friends, again, asset liabilities, right? Because if those friends know what your goals are, right, then they're going to take what it is that you vent and tell them, and they're going to try to work you toward your goal, right? So,
right.
Anyway.
So what you're looking at is when you are leaving a position. I'm a firm believer that failure is your opportunity that sets you up for your success. When you are leaving another corporation and you burn your bridges, so to speak, where you're talking nasty, you're sending out emails, you're showing them what they used to say, your tail, what happens is this. Now you're out of a job. So what do you have to do? Look for another job. So they look at your previous employee, and they do, Deidre, correct me if I'm wrong, when you put in an application who you used to work for, don't you tend to check?
Absolutely. You have to do a reference.
Yes. So when they reference check and all these people that you were nasty to, guess what they're saying? Nothing flattering. And here's the thing that a lot of people have to understand. If you are done dirty at a position, everyone who's in the know that you got treated dirty. So if you leave with a level of dignity, at least they have a way of clearing their conscience by saying, yeah, they did him wrong, let me help him get another job. That's the point of having grace and integrity. You don't just go out there and, look, I had child care centers, and my director used to have her boyfriend come and pick her up. So he would pick her up early, and they would have sex in the office. Oh! So it got back to me. So, of course, I came in there at the appointed time, and sure enough, he's blowing her back out.
All right, we can share those kind of details, but go ahead.
So, I terminated her on the spot.
Right.
Well, she posted this nasty email and letter to all the employees talking about me, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Okay. 3 weeks later, I get a call from another child care center that wanted to know how was she as an employee. Oh.
Right. So point taken. You want to look. I think that at the end of the day, it's always about looking at your goals, right? So even if you're leaving a job, what's your goal? What's your goal? Your goal is to go find another job. So is your ultimate goal to just stick it to the man? Like, is that it? Or is your goal to go and find another job? And now, if you say my goal is to go and find another job, then you have to try to figure out in that situation that might not be the best situation, how can you mitigate the damage done to leave you with the best opportunity to obtain your goal, right? But if you get caught up in the emotion, right, of the now, of what's going to make me feel good right now, what's going to satisfy me right now, well, yeah, sticking it to the man is going to make you feel good right now. Then you're going to go out and you're going to have a couple of drinks, and then a couple of weeks or so later, you're going to look and say, what did I do? What I do?
Yeah.
Right. So always keep your eye on the goal. And we're gonna go back to your network, Deidre. Look, if you have a good network of people, as you're going through whatever it is you're going through at your job, you're communicating with that network. Right? You're communicating with somebody in that network. You're telling them what's going on. And again, because that person has your best interest at heart when it comes to obtaining your goal. Right? They're going to talk to you with a clear mind about what it is you should and shouldn't be doing. Right? And in a lot of those times, I'm going to tell you because I've been there. You got a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. You got that person, right? Because you got that friend who's going to stick it to him. Stick it to him. Screw him. And that's the thing that feels the best. And what feels the worst is this rational conversation that's coming from this person over here. Right? And that's when you've got to turn back to your list. You got to look at your goals. You got to look at all of these things. And that is the compass that is going to guide you. It's important, guys. It's important because once you burn a bridge, that bridge is gone.
Right. And then to your point, Eric, that we talked about 6 degrees of separation. Now with the advent of social media, you'd be surprised when I'm on Facebook just chatting with friends and I'll see someone post on my friend's page and I'm like, how do you guys know each other? And you'll find out from a variety of ways. And say, I think that social media has allowed us to actually really feel how small the world is, especially if you live in a geographic area. It's even smaller.
Hey, Deidre, can we tell this? Can I? All right, just say stop. So
okay.
I know Deidre's husband.
Oh, he's gonna love the story, Al.
Right.
Eric.
So I know. So I want to show you how small the world is, guys. In 2014, during the mayoral election in Newark, you all know what side I was on, right? And so I was having these fierce debates with people. And he says, call me. So I call him, and it's like about 11 o'clock at night, and it was a fiery conversation the two of us were having. I mean, it got really fiery because we were passionate about what we were passionate about. I don't think it ever really got disrespectful, but it got fiery. So fiery that there was an understanding that, well, you know what? Maybe we should just kind of like not communicate on Facebook. So I blocked them, and that was kind of it. We moved on. 6 years later, 6 years later, I get introduced to Deirdre. We're chatting, right? And we do the show. And then Deirdre calls me. She says, you know, my husband wanted to share the show or do something, right? And she said he couldn't find it. It said that the content wasn't available. And then it clicked. Oh my God. I said, what's your husband's name? And she told me, and that was the guy 6 years ago. I want you to understand. So although he and I had a disagreement, it never got to the point where a bridge was burned. And so the relationship you see before your eyes forming between Deirdre and myself. See, guys, this is real stuff. I don't just tell you to do it. I live it, right? And so the relationship that she and I are forming is one that's allowed to be formed because a bridge wasn't burned. Do you get what we're talking about here? 6 degrees of separation or less.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, the thing is that you have to remember, in terms of disagreement, there are two key factors, and a lot of people use it towards men and women. Men argue to prove the point. Women argue to win. So, in the event of a disagreement between men and men, they tend to disagree to let's hear my point. And it gets passionate, but yet it does not get disrespectful.
That's a sexist statement, man. Vincent.
What?
What do you mean,
really?
what?
You talk to a man who had 3 wives, brother. Women argue to win.
Well, look.
Ask any woman when they argue, what do they argue to do? I argue to win, baby. Because that's when you get that situation where some men have picked up those techniques too, believe me. Like kitchen sinking, where they're all past the point, they're on 15 different points to overwhelm you. And it's not getting to the point. It's burning the bridge.
Yeah. I'm not ready to go down that rabbit hole and say that all women. I think that there are men who argue to win too. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'll give you an example. I was watching The Last Dance. Michael Jordan certainly argues to win. That's it. He wants to win. So he won right. So there's a competitive edge there. So I wouldn't say that it's simply women who do it. But go ahead. What were you gonna say, dear?
Right. And you're not ready for all the women to call your show talk about, I don't argue to win.
No. I just don't want to minimize women, right? Yeah.
No, actually, that quote from me came from a family counselor in one show I did. He said that, in the event of an argument, in a family argument, you got to remember that women argue to win. Men just argue to get their point across. So if you can change their point up or thinking, then you won. Women argue to win because in certain situations they know what they did was not kosher, yet want to support their stance. But I've found out in campaigning that people argue to win, men and women. So they get you in a level of psycho exhaustion by what they call kitchen sinking. They throw everything at you but the kitchen sink. So now you're exhausted, frustrated, and you never got to the point. So you just walk away. That is burning your bridges. See,
look, I don't want to belabor it, but I can introduce you to some women that would vehemently disagree with that, right? And
of course, because they're gonna argue to win it.
Okay.
in terms of actual not burning your bridge, it's important that, of course, you always keep a level of composure and dignity. You get passionate, but not overly emotional. You present your points so that they can see them, and then you step away.
Yeah. So, Eric Dixon, who's watching the show, and Eric, you're right. And so ask that question, all of you guys, are your friends assets or liabilities? Are they assets or liabilities? And not just friends, family too, right? I mean, let's be honest. We sometimes put a lot of stock into family members simply because they're family members, and we expect them to be sometimes things that they're not, and we have to understand the buckets that they fit in, right? So they may not fit in a bucket we want them to be in, and that doesn't mean that they're not of value, right? But just in the bucket that we would like them to be in. And then what did we used to say? You play to their strengths, right? So, if their strength isn't that, then don't try to make them that. See what their strength is, put them there, and let them play in that lane.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, what else is going on, Miss Viney?
So,
can I break for a second before we get on to some?
Can we talk about our baking?
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw. If you didn't see it, I'm going to post a picture of it again. And I feel like I got the better end of the deal. I feel like I owe you something else.
I had to do you right, Eric.
I feel like I got the.
Come on your show. I gotta treat you right.
No. I feel like literally as I sliced through the very first slice of that cake, I felt like I got the better end of the deal, and I'm like, you know what? I got to do something else. But the trade was, well, firstly, I got to say to you, the baking that you do with your daughter is incredible. I think that creating memories are amazing, right? And they last a lifetime. And to see the smile on your daughter's face on Saturdays when you posted pictures of the amazing cakes that you bake is what I was most attracted to. And then you and I started talking about, bartering. And then so what Deidre and I did was we bartered my grandmother's peach cobbler, which I made. She's no longer here, but her recipe. Her peach cobbler for Deidre's pineapple upside down cake. And I chose the pineapple upside down cake because it was one of the favorite cakes that my grandmother baked. So I'm saying to myself, and see, Deirdre's just hearing this for the very first time. I'm going, all right, I'm going to see. I see how this measures up, right? So, because I haven't had
that's a lot of pressure.
I haven't had a good pineapple upside down cake in a decade and a half. The last time I had a pineapple upside down cake was about 7 years ago, and it was horrible. And so I'm waiting for this pineapple upside down cake to come, and I got to tell you, when I picked it up off of her porch, because we did social distancing, right? She left it on the porch. I picked it up. Deidre, it was warm. The box was warm. I'm like, listen, I got to tell you. See, for me, I'm a very tactile person, and everything counts for me, right? I told you I'm detail-oriented, right? So I picked the box up, and I'm like, oh, my God, it's warm. So I put it in the back of the SUV, and then the smell wafted to the front as we were driving home. So the anticipation of cutting into this thing was incredible. Then I get it home. And she foil wrapped it beautifully. So I take the foil wrapping off, and I look at this magnificent artistry, right? The caramelization around the pineapples and around the edges of the cake. I'm not making this up. Go look at the photograph. Then I see like the buttery edges of it, right? And I'm like, oh my God. This is all before I even cut into it. Then as I'm cutting into it, I can see the moisture on the knife blade, guys. I'm trying to give you the full experience. And then I pulled, I'll say next to my grandmother's, the best pineapple upside down cake I have ever tasted.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. So I believe I owe you something for that
It was my
experience.
second or third time making it. And so and like I said, me and my daughter, we've been doing these Dana and Deidre Baking Saturdays. We've been having a good time every week. And she loves to bake. And I love that she loves to bake. And she loves to help and put the eggs in and whip it all up. And she just enjoys, and it's a time for us to bond as well over things that we enjoy. My son, my 15-year-old, I tried. He just wants to be on the receiving end of what we bake.
I sat right by my grandmother. My mother wasn't much of a baker. She cooked, but she wasn't much of a baker. And I loved to eat baked goods more than I did food, right? And so I would sit right there, on the stool in the kitchen. And my grandmother, this is before the electric mixers. Remember the mixer that you had you held it, and then with the other hand it had the thing that you turn like this?
No, I'm not that
Yeah.
one. I don't know that one.
You don't know? Yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah, that's the one. That was my job because my grandmother was getting up in age, and so she would just give me the mixing bowl with that mixer, and I would sit there and I would mix, and I mixed. See, it was a means to the end because I got to lick the thing.
You got to lick the bowl and the spoon.
Yeah, the bowl. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that was my job when I was young.
But you can't do that anymore. What's the deal? Because we weren't concerned about salmonella back then.
No, we weren't.
Right?
And it's crazy because I thought about this when I made my daughter. My daughter loves over easy eggs.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not over easy. What's the one that's the regular where you can see the yolk? Whatever that's called.
Oh yeah, over easy
Sunny side up.
or
Sunny side up.
Yeah.
Sunny side up. And I need my eggs scrambled hard.
Okay.
I don't want to see any phlegm. And so I had to make her an over easy or sunny side up egg on Saturday. And I said to myself, because one of the things, back to your point about why they say it's not good to eat the cake batter, from what I understand it had to do with the fact that you were eating raw eggs.
Correct.
I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, I'm cooking her a sunny side up or whatever egg where the yolk is clearly not cooked. And so I'm not clear. Maybe a baking person can shed some light on why we should not eat the cake batter anymore, because I ate it as a kid. I'm still here. I survived.
Me too.
And we still take, and my daughter still, I don't let her sit there and scoop the whole thing out like I used to do as a kid, but she'll take a couple tastes of it and she'll say, oh, that tastes really good before we pop it in the oven.
Mm-hmm.
But back to our bartering, Eric, because I will tell you that I've been trying all these different recipes over the past 7 weeks since we've been in quarantine, and I haven't tried peach cobbler, or bread pudding.
Okay.
And those are things I absolutely love. And maybe I'm intimidated by it. I'm not exactly sure why I haven't tried it. So when you offered that, I said, great. Eric's been talking about his dad won peach cobbler. Let me try it. Let me get a jump. And I will tell you, that is definitely one of the best peach cobblers I've ever had. I actually typically like peach cobbler hot,
Mm-hmm.
and I warmed it up, and then I was so mad I forgot to cool it. So I had to eat it regular.
How could you disrespect the peach cobbler?
I know. I went to the store and I forgot the Cool Whip, but that's all right. So nonetheless, it tastes. Obviously the Cool Whip would have been literally icing on the cake, right? It was so good. But then, like a day or so later, I said, you know what? It was right before dinner, and I think we were waiting for whatever to be made. And I said, let me just try this peach cobbler cold. Oh, I was actually surprised. I actually liked it better cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's unusual.
Well,
Usually it's like something tastes better hot. But this particular time, it tastes better cold. So I thank you for that. I gave one to my mother-in-law. She was super happy.
Excellent.
And we are all just enjoying it, tasting finally.
Well, listen, this is a great, and I appreciate that. This is, it's a great time. And you know what? We bond over food, right? You hear people say, let's break bread together. Let's get together. Sunday dinners, as families, people bond. I think that, what you did, and I see, what Diane's doing over in Hillside, too. They have some bake contests, and they're baking all kinds of stuff. Diane did an amazing looking pound cake with an orange glazed drizzle the other night, you know, and some of her neighbors are putting photographs up there. I mean, I just think that this is a really good way to spend the time, you know, as we're quarantining.
I think that the way it started for us is so now I got to do a taste test. So if Brandy's mom, Deborah's listening, her peach cobbler is also really good. That's how it started.
Challenge!
Oh, I would love to taste
She
it.
made me peach cobbler, and she's always made it. I've had it over their house for years, and I love it. And we bartered that for my rum cake.
Oh.
And so now I want to take a side-by-side comparison.
Hey, listen, you know what I say? Look, here's what I say, and we got Diane on the phone. I say this because some of you guys have seen it, and I thank you all for all of you guys who have supported, you know, this business venture of Grandma Emma's Peach Cobbler. It's in some of the stores that you guys frequent. I say to people, we don't come after Big Mama's recipe. We don't come after your mama's recipe, but your auntie's recipe is fair game. I'm letting you know. We don't come. Hey, it's fair game. Hey, Diane, welcome to the show. How you doing, darling?
Good morning. I feel bad that I can't join in on this because, you know, I got bread that I can't get right.
Well, my wife did Eric's bread recipe, and it turned out really well.
Yeah, it's a simple recipe. And I encourage, like I said,
it's not that simple.
Which recipe are you sharing, Eric?
It's a bread recipe. It's a no-knead,
the bread recipe.
bread recipe. And it really is, you know, it doesn't take much. It's 4 ingredients: yeast, flour, water, and a pinch of salt. And you know, it takes, the prep time is really no more than 3 minutes, if that. And then you just let it sit and do its thing for 8 hours, and then you pop it in a Dutch oven, you know, which is essentially a pot that can go in the oven with a lid on it, right? You pop it in there, you let it cook for, you know, 30 minutes, and you got fresh bread.
Let me ask you a question, because I do want to make bread next week.
Okay.
My neighbor's been amazing, too, because we bartered bread. So she's brought me over bread 2 weeks in a row.
All right.
So next week, Dana also loves bread. So we want to make bread. And so I wanted to use your recipe, but one of the things I love is rosemary. So in bread like that, can I use,
yes,
am I using fresh rosemary? Am I drying it? And what am I doing?
I would dry it. No, you know what? No, you don't have to, right? Because you're gonna, no, I wouldn't dry it, right? Yeah, I wouldn't dry. You know what I would? No, can I tell you what I would do with it? I would infuse it in the water, right? And then I would put the rosemary in the thing. But I would infuse it in the water. So if you have like an infuser, put the rosemary in there, so now you have the flavor in the water, and then you also have the rosemary chopped up inside of it, right? I think that might be pretty amazing, right?
Okay,
look, it's all about experimenting, which is what I said to Diane, because in terms of the ingredients, it's less than 50 cents to make it, right? It's 3 cups of flour, bread flour. It's a quarter.
Oh, wait. There's a difference. Wait a minute. Bread flour?
Diane, you didn't use bread flour?
No.
Oh, now we found out.
So, yeah.
You didn't say that. You said flour. Flour is flour, ain't it?
No, bread flour. And you know what? I may not have said bread flour. Okay.
Diane, I think he personally didn't tell you bread flour.
I may not have.
That's what people do when they give you a recipe. They always leave one part out of the recipe.
So just get fresh yeast. If you have it in a refrigerator, just use fresh yeast. Go buy. It's not expensive. And if you have fresh yeast that you recently bought and it's in a refrigerator, let it sit out on the counter for about a half an hour. You want it to be close to room temperature when you use it. You don't want it right out of the refrigerator.
Wait a minute. I can't use the little packages.
No. You can use them. But I'm saying, so when you bought those packets, they come 3, right? So after you opened it, you folded it over and you put it in the refrigerator. If you're going to use that packet again, take it out of the refrigerator and let it set on the counter for about a half an hour.
Okay, so you said 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, right?
1/4 teaspoon.
1/4 teaspoon? That's it?
That's
Wow.
it. That's what, right.
So can we go back to the bread flour? So if I'm using Aunt Jemima self-rising flour, that's not good enough.
Bread flour.
It's specifically called bread flour.
Bread flour. That's absolutely right. I use Arthur's is the one that I use. I don't get paid to
Okay.
but bread flour, 3 cups, 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, a pinch of salt, right? And then you want to use 12 ounces. This is you got to be precise with this now. 12 ounces of water, and I find it best at 100 degrees, right? So get a thermometer, put it in the water, make sure it's 100 degrees. Now you want to mix all your dry ingredients together. So this, Deirdre, is, so now for you, if you're going to use the rosemary, right, your 12 ounces of water will have been infused with rosemary, and then you chop it up and you, so yeah, I would mix it in. I would mix it in with the water after you did the dry ingredients. So your dry ingredients, Deirdre, would be the flour, the yeast, and the salt. Mix that all together. And then pour your water in with the infused water mixed in with the rosemary. Pour that into the dry ingredients. You're going to mix that. It's going to start to form a ball, right? A dough ball. Once it's done, you're done. You just cover that for 8 hours. Let it rise. After the 8 hours, you're going to go to your oven, turn your oven on 400, what did I say, Diane? 400, 450?
Yeah, 400.
400. Put your Dutch oven in the oven. You're going to take your bread. It's going to be, your dough is going to be sticky, so you're going to want to coat your work surface and then heavily coat your hands in the bread flour. Still using bread flour. Then you're going to do quarter folds of the dough, right? You're going to fold it over itself, turn it quarter way, fold it over itself, turn it a quarter way, do it that. And then you're going to tuck it under itself to make a ball. You're going to put that in a well-greased pan, use like spray pan, put it in there, cover it with a no-lint cloth, let it rise for that half an hour that your Dutch oven is heating up. At the end of that, you're going to take your Dutch oven out, take the lid off. The reason I told you to use the pan on the pan is because then you can just turn the pan and the dough will slide right into the Dutch oven. Cover that up, put it in the oven for 27 minutes. When your timer goes off, take the lid off, put it back in the oven for 3 minutes to get a nice golden crust on the top. You're done. That's it.
And I gotta tell you, those are the most agonizing 27 minutes because the whole house smells like fresh bread. You got your jelly, your jam, your marmalade ready to go. Oh,
I'm telling you, and you know what? I'm gonna do the rosemary now because that rosemary has got to give a great accent to how but I'm telling you, you're right, Vincent. Your whole house is gonna light up and smell amazing. And if you do it, I usually do mine, do my dough about 10 o'clock at night, right? Because now when you do it, right, so you say 10 o'clock at night, so 6 o'clock in the morning is when I'm doing my folding. So my bread goes in the oven around 6:30, right, 7 o'clock at the latest. So by 7 or 7:30, my house is smelling amazing. I'm pulling that out. And I'm ready to cut it about 20 minutes after it's been out of the oven, right? So now we're closing in on 8 o'clock. My second cup of coffee, hot or warm, freshly baked bread with some orange marmalade. What? What?
Oh, yeah.
So if you call me at that time, I'm in the best mood. You can almost get anything you want from me. So
I
anyway,
love
that's
it. I love it. And so there you go. That's how we're building our baking network, right?
Yeah.
My friend makes the most amazing salmon cakes. Amazing.
Ooh.
Every time she says, "What can I bring at your house?" I say, "Can you bring salmon cakes?" So
Really?
then, because I'm trying to learn how to make things myself.
Mm-hmm.
I called her. I texted her the other day, and she said, and I said, "You know what? I wasn't sure. You know, some people are really secretive, and I get it about sharing a recipe." So I said, "Do you mind sharing your salmon cake recipe? Because I would really like to try to make it." And so it's interestingly enough, she texted me yesterday. I haven't had a chance to call her back yet. She texted me yesterday. She said, "Let me know if you want to talk about my recipe." And I said, "Oh, is there like a technique? Like, you
she holds back on you now. She's holding back.
Maybe there's more details, or like to your point, maybe she might be like, this is only going. I want to talk to you verbally, and then after this, you need to self-destruct it." I don't know.
Hey, listen, I love this idea. You know what I want to share with you? If your daughter likes those sunny side up eggs,
Oh gosh.
Diane knows where I'm going with this.
Oh,
I got it for $4.95 off of Amazon, even though Amazon's the devil, right? I got it from Amazon. They're egg poachers.
Oh,
See?
I've seen that.
Right?
I don't know if she's gonna like that though, because it's like boiled, right?
No. Listen. If she likes the butter, right? So if she likes the butter flavor in the sunny side up egg, then yes, right? But if she really is into the flavor of the yolk, right? Because that's why I like it. Because warm yolk is just amazing, right? And over toast, you do eggs Benedict, right? And so when you were talking salmon cake, I'm thinking a slice of bread with that salmon cake there, and a finely poached egg with just a dash of pink Himalayan salt and some freshly ground pepper. What?
It's getting close to lunchtime, Aaron. We're going to have to wrap this show up.
So these poachers,
making me hungry.
These poachers you can get off of Amazon, and they come 6 to a package for $5. And what you do, they're silicone. You lightly coat them on the inside with a little olive oil so that the egg doesn't stick. You put it in a pot of boiling water, and then you just crack the egg directly into these silicone cups. And then you put the lid on it. For a perfectly poached egg, it's 5 minutes.
I might try that, because I will tell you that because I don't eat sunny side up eggs, and she asked me to make her one, because I guess she was over her friend's house and her mom made that, and she was like, "Can you make it?" Remember, I told you I need my eggs hard, scrambled with cheese. So I was actually really nervous about making it, because I had never made it before. And so I told her, she said, "Well, can I have 2?" I said, "Now you're pushing it." I said, let me just try to do one at a time. So she's watching me, and I said, "I don't even know when it's done. How do I know when it's done? The yolk is in the middle." So she's literally 9 years old, is telling me when it's done. "Oh, Mommy, it's got to get to look like this on that one part, and then it's done." So now I'm nervous. I get the smash, so I don't want to break the yolk and make a mess. So that might be something that might help me, because she's the only one in the house that likes it. No one else likes our eggs like that.
Really? Yeah. But I'm telling you, she will be a fan of the. She sounds like a young lady after my own heart when it comes to, egg texture, because that's what it's about: egg texture and flavor. And I'm not against scrambled eggs with cheese, but it depends. If I'm having grits, I can do my scrambled eggs and cheese. But if I'm doing just eggs and toast, then I gotta have because it's a no-knead bread.
It's over-kneaded in the bread machine.
Yeah, see, in a bread machine, you're kneading it, right? And what happens? So, Kimberly, great question. So here's the deal: you ever have whether you're talking about cake or bread, you ever have a cake that's tough, right? That's really dense, and you're like, why is this so dense? Why isn't it light and airy?
Yes.
It's because you overwork the flour, and you activate the gluten in the flour. Hey, come on now. Come on now. I want to do my cooking show.
Wow.
So, Eric, it wasn't the buttermilk
Bam!
that made it healthy. It was me over fluffing the flour.
Yeah.
You can overwork.
So I should just mix it till it's mixed and then throw it in the oven.
Yes,
Don't
you can certainly overwork your flour, right? You don't want to do that. And so if you're doing a no-knead bread, then you don't want to overwork it, because then it'll be tough. It won't be airy and soft and light and all that kind of stuff. Listen, baking is a science, right? It's chemistry, right? And you're dealing with, so whether you're dealing with the yeast or all the other ingredients that you're dealing, you're going to get a reaction, which is what you want. And the question is, what reaction are you trying to get? Right? So you just can't throw stuff together. You have to be very precise about it.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I used to bake in high school and I loved it so much. So it's just nice to get back to it. But my father is a baker, and apparently I wasn't paying attention. However, when Thanksgiving came this year, he's also a really good cook. So when Thanksgiving came this year, he made everything. We drove to North Carolina, which is where a lot of my family lived, and he made everything from the salmon to the turkey to his pies. And it was so funny because, we all know we're not going to be here forever. So we took it upon ourselves as his children to videotape what he made for his pies, because sometimes it's not necessarily the ingredients, it's the technique.
Yeah.
And so, just to your point, just that was a big aha for me, because here I am thinking, Dana, keep mixing. And I should be like, no more mixing. Throw it in the oven.
Yeah.
So I can make I'm all about a light, fluffy, moist cake. That's like a big thing I try to achieve. And here I was thinking it was the butter doing it.
Yeah. That's why a lot of cake recipes now, you'll see, they'll have you mix. Before, they used to tell you to mix the egg and the butter, so you would put your flour, your sugar, and all that stuff, and then you put your egg and your butter and your milk in that same bowl, and then you mix it all together. Well, now you're overworking the flour, right? So try your same recipe, guys, doing this. Take all your wet ingredients, mix them all first, right? So your butter, and your sugar, right? So leave your flour out. Mix everything else, your eggs, your butter, your sugar, your milk. Get all of that done, and then incorporate your flour, because now you don't have to mix it as much, because all of the other ingredients are mixed, right? And now all you want to do is mix it enough so that the flour is incorporated. And understand this too. So when they tell you to don't dump it all in at one time, part of that is not overworking it, right? Because if you dump it in all at one time, then you're really working it to try to get it all incorporated. So if you incorporate it little by little, right, then and again, remember, trying not to overwork it. Let me know whether it comes out moister.
I will. That's funny, because that was one of the things that I was coaching my daughter on, because I did notice that in the recipe it said to mix your wet ingredients separate from your dry ingredients. She's trying to put it all together. I said, no. Let's follow the recipe exactly as they say. There may be a reason for that.
Yeah, that is the reason.
Okay. My baked good for the day is jumbo lump crab cakes.
Ooh.
That's your what?
Jumbo lump crab cakes. And this is the Merlin jumbo lump style.
Okay.
So what you do is this. You go to the market, and you can, now, I'm a little lazy. So instead of getting the Merlin blue crabs, because it takes like a lot of them to get like a pound of crab meat out of it, you can go and get the Alaskan King. Don't buy the lump crab meat, in the package, because actually what that is fish. So you get maybe a pound and a half of the Alaskan King or whatever crabs. Have them steam it, okay, but stop it like 2 minutes before their normal timer, because you don't want it fully cooked. So take it home, break it off, put it in a bowl. Now you add butter, breadcrumbs, Old Bay seasoning, an egg, fresh parsley. Now, I like to make the butter soft, so have it sit out for a little while so it's nice and soft, and it adds as your actual coagulant. Mix it all in the bowl. Now, remember when we talked about overworking the flour?
Yep.
You can overwork your crab meat, and it's no longer jumbo lump.
Yeah, it's mush.
Oh,
Yes.
It's mush.
So, carefully blend it all together, with your crab meat. Oh, and here's the secret ingredient. About 2 tablespoons of white wine.
Oh.
red or white?
White.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said white. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Put it all in a bowl, lump it, like a crab cake style, or like what I like to do is I like to use like stuffed mushrooms or clam shells.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get like an ice cream scoop. So it's nice and proportionate. Scoop it gently, put it in the mushroom. Now, put a little butter in the bottom of the mushroom, in the opening of the mushroom, then put the crab meat on top of it. Bake it for 25 minutes at the oven at 400 degrees. And in the first 7 minutes that it's baking, it's over. People are surrounding the oven waiting for it to come out.
All right.
When it comes out, and for garnishing, I'll use parsley and lemon slices. So 10 minutes after it bakes, add the lemon slice on top of each piece of crab, or just stick it in on top of each piece of crab, or each of your crab cakes. Put it back in for another 10 minutes. Take it out. That lemon has a nice little brown to it, and for some reason, it becomes sweetened. Take it out, let it cool for a minute and a half, and serve it.
So interesting that you cook it in the oven. I like that better than I would have assumed it was pan fried.
No, pan fried is an old Southern way that they usually do because most of them didn't have ovens.
So you know what? So now I got it. Now I'm gonna make that, but then I'm not gonna put the in a mushroom because I'm gonna put it on a freshly baked slice of bread, and then on top of that I'm gonna put a perfectly poached egg.
Ooh.
And then after I eat that, no. Well, I don't know that we can go out today to get it, so I gotta figure this out because I want to have the perfect meal. So I may have to take a piece of that, and there are very few pieces left. I gotta let you know of that pineapple upside down cake. But I'm gonna take a piece and I'm gonna put it in a freezer because I gotta preserve it until I get my crab meat.
I don't know about the integrity in the freezer, Eric. I don't know. I can't vouch for it on safe things.
No, that's okay. I'm not gonna hold you. Not gonna hold you to that.
But if you really want to blow your guest's mind when you serve these crab cakes, make a garlic butter sauce. Just take a stick of butter, put it in a pot, low flame. Chop up maybe a clove of garlic, half a clove of garlic. All right. Add a little bit of white wine. Let it cook till the garlic is soft. And after that, you of course eliminate the fat over top of it.
Right.
Pour that over your crab cakes, and it's over for people.
All right. So listen. So you got a couple recipes, guys. You got some stuff to do. I want to veer off a little bit. Just because, like, little stupid stuff stays in my head. Have you ever seen people pick crab meat? Like, professional people pick crab meat?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I always thought that it was an automated job. It's not. There are people who work in factories, and, Deidre, you're looking at me like, did you not know?
This lends to another conversation, but I continue.
So I'm watching this show. This is maybe about 8 months ago, because I turn and try to watch odd things just to, and there is an art to crab picking, and these people work in these factories, and they've worked there for years, decades just picking crabs. And some of the and there's a there's a speed to it, there's a technique, there's an accuracy to it. And there was this one woman who was being interviewed, and she was talking about the different knife or the knife that she uses, and she was just breaking in a new knife after having used the knife that she had previously used for years, until she used it all the way down to the nub. And I'm saying, so are you kidding me? But when you were talking about it, Vincent, and you were talking about not overworking it, it made me think of these people who spend time picking this lump crab meat, and so you don't want to do them a disservice. So as you're working your crab meat, think about the person, not a machine, but an actual person who handpicked that crab meat for you so that you could destroy it by overworking it. So don't overwork it.
So what I was going to say, Eric, is it just took me back. I had such a wonderful Mother's Day on Sunday, and my husband made me a seafood bonanza. And one of the things he made was actually lobster and snow crab legs. But I took me back to a moment, I don't even remember where I went, but I ordered lobster at probably a semi-fancy restaurant. And the waiter or waitress asked me if I wanted it deshelled. And I was like, sure, whatever that is. And they bought this lobster. I had never seen it like that. I had to do no work. It was completely exposed. All the meat, the claws were out, the claws were cracked. All I had to do was literally pull it out. And I said, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day to you.
Yeah. There is an art to doing it too. It looked artful, didn't it?
Yes.
And you know what? And you don't, if you get it deshelled, because you'll never do it as well as they do it. So you're getting all of your meat. You know, and they're pulling did they do it, Deidre, where when they went into the claws, they pulled the meat out so it was intact? See,
everything.
That's what I'm saying.
I did, when I tell you I did no work, that's why now every time I go out to a seafood restaurant, I'm always looking, can you, I don't want to do the work. I'm lazy for that regard. I can't stand it. And the reason I also changed the snow crab legs, because I love Maryland blue crabs. I love them, but they are work, and you will sit there for 2 hours straight and still be hungry.
Yeah.
There's only so much meat you can get out of a teeny blue crab.
Yeah, in those other ones, I did too much work for me. The little.
Oh, you probably took the crawfish.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those are the teeny weeny ones.
Yeah, I can't. Neither of those. It's not enough work for me.
I've lost patience myself, and so now I've moved on to so Vincent's thing about Alaskan king crab leg. They've got nice meat, and you pull it all out. That's a lot of meat.
It is, and it saves you a lot of time. I used to work with those Maryland blue crabs. I mean, very distinct flavor, but it's way too much work.
Yeah. I can only eat those if I'm indulged in a heavy spades game.
That massive quantities of alcohol.
Yeah, I can't see. So I don't play spades much anymore. I can't drink alcohol anymore. So those crabs will have to go to somebody else now.
Yes, but the Dungeness and the Alaskan and the king crabs, I mean, they're great for the crab cake recipe.
So,
I'm gonna make both of those soon. This week, Eric, my daughter and I, she loves churros, Mexican churros. So we haven't been frying yet. So now this Saturday, we're gonna make churros. And here's what I'm gonna also do is, because I have an air fryer. I got one for Christmas. I asked for it. I was so happy when I got it. I have been making such amazing things in this doggone air fryer. I'm actually going to do a pan fry versus air fry on Saturday. And I want to do a side-by-side comparison because I'm curious to taste the difference. If you can taste the difference.
I did some air fried chicken wings, and I just I seasoned them and tossed them with olive oil, right? And then put them in the air fryer. I couldn't tell the difference.
I Exactly. I too have made that. And I actually don't like frying chicken in my house. It's just been one of those things.
Yeah.
I like to, I don't just smell it linger, and I open up all the windows, I light a candle. But I tried it, so because of that, I haven't really made it over the years. I'll eat it out, but I won't make it. But I tried it when I made it in my air fry, since I've had it now for a couple months. Fantastic. So now I'm curious. I want to clean it out, because I feel like it's going to have smells of like bacon and like fried chicken, and so I want to clean it out real good before now on Saturday. I'm going to let it air out, and then because the baked good is, you don't want any of those flavors in the baked good.
Right. Let me ask you, do you have an Instapot?
I do not. I've heard about that one too. That might be on next Christmas.
Listen, I took a completely frozen chicken, a whole chicken. Now, we can go back and forth because we did a show about whether you should rinse your chicken or not. And
I rinse mine.
And a report says that rinsing your chicken creates more bacteria in your kitchen than not because of the spatter. If you were to take a blue light after you finished, you'd have all of that bacteria all splattered all over the counter, all over the sink, and you're not doing a proper job washing it. What they say in the reports is that cooking your chicken at the high temperature will kill off all of what you're trying to rinse off. So I don't rinse, right? But I took I just run enough water because it was frozen. I had to run enough warm water to take the diaper off of it. That's that piece of paper, right? That's what they call it, a diaper. But anyway, took that off, and then I put that Hard Rock frozen chicken into my Instapot. Then I put some chicken, there's a tiny bit of chicken stock in there. I put in my Sweet Baby Ray's and bone-sucking sauce, barbecue sauce. I mixed the two together. I put in some garlic pepper seasoning. And then I put the lid on it. 45 minutes later.
No, stop. 45 minutes?
45 minutes from rock hard frozen.
Wow. Okay, that's
Done.
I've been hearing a lot of Instapot stories. I hadn't heard it. I had not inquired that it was frozen because I can't stand to defrost meat.
Amina does that with our ribs. She'll take short ribs, beef, out of the freezer and go straight to the Instapot.
Wow. Good to know.
Wow.
I think that's next on my list of gadgets that I want. And I'm not a gadget person. I bought one of those water, because I love sparkling water. So my sister had I forget the name of it now, see? And I asked for that for Christmas because I buy so much sparkling water. I don't want to buy sparkling water anymore. I want to have this soda stream. That's what I need. Soda stream. I want the soda stream. And I can tell you, yesterday I just happened to be cleaning the kitchen. I noticed it was a little film of dust on the top of the soda stream because I'm not using it.
See, I got the soda machine for Christmas, and I made fresh ginger ale with fresh ginger. Oh, wow! It took me way back.
That sounds good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that strong ginger taste, not like that watered-down ginger ale that we get in the stores. This was great. It was like those ginger ales we used to get, down south when I visited my cousins.
Right.
Yeah, ginger beer, actually, is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is great. And it turns out to be like 30% healthier.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to need that recipe, too. That's a dag on it. I love ginger ale. And I love I buy the more, they're expensive. They're not like your typical ginger flavored, the ginger ale.
Bottle of tonic water. Now, you take two whatever they call them, gingers, peel it, chop it coarsely, put it in, I'd say, a 1-quart saucepan, put a half a quart of water in it, and let it reduce. Add a tablespoon of brown sugar, and what you will smell is that pure ginger smell coming out. And once you do that, you take it, you drain it, and if you don't have a soda machine, that would be your syrup. If you don't have a soda machine, you take the tonic water, You take out, I'd say, maybe 1/10 of it. Add your syrup to it. Mix it lightly by turning it. And there it is, fresh ginger ale.
All right.
Nice.
There's something else for us to try. Hey, listen, we're out of time, and this went by so quickly.
But I have one more quick thing to say, Eric.
Yes, ma'am. You want to wrap it up with the?
Wrapping it up. Wrapping it up. Back to my my tips thing, because we are actually doing Diana that you had on a couple weeks ago. I'm talking about networking, right? So her and I are teaming up together to put on a workshop tomorrow. It's on resume writing and job search tips. It's going to be at 6:00 tomorrow evening. I'm going to put the link in the feed for folks to register to get the password and whatnot. It's going to be a nice time to bring your resume with you, have it right in front of you so you can, use some of the tips right away. And so we hope to have you on there.
And now it's going to be airing where?
It's going to be, we're doing it on the Zoom platform.
Okay.
But the registration is open on Eventbrite in order for them to get the Zoom information.
Okay.
And it's at 6 p.m. tomorrow night.
All right, guys. So make sure you mark your calendar. Make sure you.
If you remember, a couple weeks ago, Diana actually has a business called Resume Tailor. So she's on there because Express does not do resumes, but Resume Tailor does. And so together we're forging to give tips on not just getting that resume together, but how to get a job.
Look, you can't ask for anything better than that. Come on, guys. Please share. And then when folks say, people don't have the information, and like I said before, you're watching the show, take it upon yourself. Heap it on your shoulders to share this show and the information about tomorrow's event with 10, 15 people so that they tune in, right? Maybe they didn't get an opportunity to watch this, so maybe they'll do it there. Look, I want to end this with this. If you haven't seen The Last Dance, I'm on episode 8 right now. I binge watch. I literally was like this morning. I fell asleep and had to rewind it because I fell asleep watching it. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. It has given me a completely different outlook on Michael Jordan. I want to talk about that because I ripped the guy and still have a couple of whatever about him, but just gave me a completely different outlook on him as a person. But it is a phenomenal watch. And there was a quote that he something that he said in there, and I want to leave you guys with this. He said, "Winning has a price, and leadership has a price. So I pulled people along when they didn't want to be pulled," he said. "I challenged people when they didn't want to be challenged. And I earned that right because my teammates came after me. They didn't endure all the things I had to endure. Once you joined this team, you lived to a certain standard. What do you say? A standard that I play the game. I wasn't going to take. I need glasses. I wasn't going to take anything less. And so, if you watch the thing, you'll see it in context, because people call him a bunch of different SOBs and stuff like that. But this guy won 6 championships, right? And all of these people came along, and had he not done the things that he did, the victories that he had wouldn't have been had. So the ingredients that he had to pour into it were necessary for those 16 championships. And that's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of the 8 episodes or 7.5 episodes that I've watched so far. I'm halfway through the 8th. But check it out. I think, there may be some things that you can find that can help shape your life as you start to fine tune your competitive edge. Not everything, but there may be some things. Thank you guys for tuning in. Deidre, always, you are a jewel, and I thank Diane for introducing me to you. And Vincent Squire, dude, today's election day, Vincent. We didn't get to talk about it, and I don't even know that it was worth talking about. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. That's how I feel. But look, yeah.
But here's the thing, Eric, in terms of Election Day, we've been going over with your viewers a long time, for a while, about Election Day and how important it is. It's time that, we have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. I mean, we have to be tired of the sheltering in place and getting the same thing from these politicians, which is very little. It's time that we demand better because we deserve better. It's time that we get a fresh look, a fresh group of people and some fresh eyes on these political issues. This is the only way that we're going to improve our quality of life and make things better for our children. So, people, please take this election very, very, very important and have a high priority in getting it done.
Well,
let's make the change.
I feel like we did our civic duty. We did. We mentioned it. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys tomorrow. We'll have Andre on, Amir, to talk about financial literacy. I'll reach out to him later so we can get that whole piece together, guys. Make sure you tune in.
I'm calling it 6 for that one, Eric.
Thanks for sharing the show.
God bless. Be safe, everybody.